Hey, I'm Jess, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking all about adult friendships and making friends in your 20s. If you are watching this right now and just feeling like you don't have friends or you don't know how to make new friends, so many people are going through exactly what you're going through. Graduating college and entering the real world, so many changes happen. I know you may be starting a new job, moving to a new place, maybe your friends' lives are changing, whether they're getting married or getting into new relationships. So much is going on during this period of time, and so your friendships and relationships, naturally, they're going to grow and change as you grow and change. But that doesn't mean it's impossible to make new friends. Often we are taught so many things growing up, but we don't always get taught these things. I have kind of been learning some things along the way and making new friends, so these are some of the things I've learned. It's weird to say this because I know it won't seem this way just from being on camera, but personally, I can actually be really shy sometimes, which I'm like, okay, if you watch any video on this channel, I never stop talking. And I was an RA in college and I could walk up to any girl in my hall and just start talking to them, even if I didn't know them, or I was a tour guide and I could always talk there. But there's something about being in environments where you're comfortable that I think that's easier. But a lot of times when it comes to making new friendships and relationships, it forces you out of your comfort zone. So I want to talk to you a lot today about friendships. When I think about making new friends, I think of it in two different ways. I think of the logistics of where and how to meet people, and then I also think of the mindset and the attitude you bring when you're trying to meet people. So that's kind of how I want to break it down today. If any of what I've said resonates with you, please leave a thumbs up so I can make more content like this so I know that you like it and it's helpful. If you have felt this way before, if you would leave a comment so people watching this know, I think that's really important just so that you know you're not alone and a lot of people are going through the exact same thing. So let's talk about the logistics of making friends. Where do you go? What do you do? All of that. You want to put yourself in places to meet other people. So this requires a little bit of thinking, and it also requires putting yourself out there. One thing I've done this year is I love Jenna Palick and her brand Fun on Weekdays. She's based in Austin, so she hosts a lot of Austin events. That's been something really helpful for me because sometimes I'm not always going to be the best about planning and inviting people to do something that I haven't really met yet, but I can go show up to something with a bunch of people who are kind of already hoping to meet people. It's I can do that. I can go there, show up, be kind, and so far I've gone to a Painting with a Twist with her brand, and then I also went to the Barbie movie. I did a vlog for that, which was so fun. But both times I've gone without knowing a single soul, and I've come out having met such sweet girls. The way I found this though is through her Facebook group, and I would say definitely look out for Facebook groups in your area. That's something I've found. Even though I don't use Facebook a ton, there are lots of community events and community groups that plan on Facebook, and they plan free or cheap community events that are welcome to everyone. And so I would say definitely think about where can you go and meet people? Where are people your age or people with your interests meeting? It might take a little bit of digging, but if you can find those people, you want to start going places and going to events like that. And don't overwhelm yourself with it at all. Some people I know can just dive in and start going to stuff, but if you're like me, sometimes I'm a little shy, or sometimes this can be overwhelming for me. So what I try to do is do one event like this per month. And you know what? That is enough, I think. If you're putting yourself out there at all, that's amazing. And just do it to the extent that you're comfortable. It's your life. It's all up to you, and it's all good. Look for people with similar interests to you. So whether you love reading and you want to join a book club, or you love running, there's running clubs. I was shocked at how many groups existed in my city, and that probably living in Austin, living in such a big city with so many people, I know that contributes to it. But I would say, I mentioned about looking on Facebook, you can usually find Facebooks, GroupMe's, think Geneva's. Start looking online for your local community, see what exists. Sometimes even people make TikToks, so I would suggest just going to these places I'm mentioning, typing in your city, and then typing in your interests and seeing if those keywords bring up any local community groups you could go to. This is just a great way to meet people who like stuff you like, that you guys can geek out over or get excited, or if you love running and you have someone to run with, that's amazing. I would encourage you to interact online with people. So often I think we are silent scrollers, or we're just liking maybe people's stuff and that's about it. But if you think someone is cool, I think you should tell them that. If you admire someone or like something about them, I think you should say that. And For me, there's two ways with the online thing. If you see someone's Instagram story and you like the same show they like, or you are really interested in something they did, like, I think it's so good to interact with them and start that conversation. I also would say for myself, I've started posting a lot more. Like, I post here on YouTube, but I also post on Instagram. Sometimes I'm on TikTok. And when I post in those places, people do engage with me. And sometimes I'm finding these people, we start DMing and then we make plans, which is so cool. Like, one of these girls I went to college with and we're kind of acquaintances, she has been seeing some of my stories and we started messaging and started a conversation, and like now we're gonna see a movie when we're gonna go see Taylor Swift at the movies, which is so cool. I guess my point to all this with the internet is just like, think of the internet as a place you can meet someone. Like, it doesn't just have to be like Bumble BFF where you meet people. Like, it could be people who are already in your circle. Finally, in regards to finding and meeting friends, are there any friends you already have from the past who you might want to reconnect with? This is something that's really cool. I don't know, one of my best friends I grew up with, we hadn't talked for like a year or two after college, and she texted me a month ago and we talked on the phone that day for almost 2 or 3 hours. It was so fun. And that's the thing, just because you haven't talked in a while doesn't mean you don't still like love and care about each other. And so I would just encourage you to reach out to people who are already in your network. Think about people who you used to just love hanging out with or having a good time with. If there's any of those people you haven't talked to in a minute, see if you can connect with them, because you never know what kinds of friendships you could rekindle from that. So let's talk about the mindset and the attitude we're going to bring into these settings. We've kind of talked about practically like things, you may have already known those things, where and how to find friends, but what do we do when we're actually trying to connect with people and leave these events and situations with real friends? First and foremost, I would encourage you to enter these situations with an attitude of openness. Like, try to be as open-minded as possible. You don't know who you're gonna meet, how it's gonna go. Like, you don't know anything before you go in. So when I go to a Fun on Weekdays event, I guess every time I've gone not knowing anyone. And the way I look at it is like, I wanna meet one person tonight. If I can meet one person, awesome. If I can meet more than that, amazing, even better. But what I tell myself is all I have to do is go in and say hi. Just go in and try to meet someone. And when I went to the Barbie movie, what I told myself was, even if you meet no one, it's literally a movie. And afterwards, if you just have to sit through the whole movie by yourself, it's okay. But don't close yourself off. Sometimes I go into situations and I think, oh, well, that girl wouldn't maybe want to be friends with me. Like, she seems really cool. Like, I'm kind of nervous to talk to her. And it's like, don't do that to yourself. Or maybe you've met someone and then you're like, oh, you see them again at a social event and you think, oh, well, they didn't really hit it off with me last time, so we probably won't get along. Like, no. Let's just go into these situations open, ready to receive, ready to be kind, to be like fun, to be yourself, and just to see what happens. Next, I think it's super important if you want to have a friend, it's important to be a friend. So I always try to think like, I don't know, when I'm in these settings and I feel super nervous because I'm kind of trying to be brave and there's lots of variables and I'm just like, this is like a little bit out of my comfort zone, I try to act in those situations towards other people the way I would want people to act towards me. So like if I see someone sitting alone, I'm gonna be like, hey, do you want to come sit with us? Or if I have something I can like share with people, I'm gonna share. Or if I start asking someone about their life or something, I'm gonna try my best to be like a really active listener, because I really value when people actively listen when I'm talking. And so just think about like what having a friend means, like what do those friends do? And how can you do that? Whenever you're in social settings, say hello. So often I think of times I've been kind of shy or not feeling like up to doing that, but then I think of the times when I've been brave enough to just say hi to like one person or to connect with other people who are around me. And sometimes it is so amazing, like the people you meet or the conversations you have. I know it's like not always easy to say hi, but just like if you can, for like the 5 seconds it takes to muster that courage, I would say hi to someone. Be nice and see if you connect. And I want to say with that, sometimes you may say hello to people in these social settings and like they may not always be receptive to that. Don't take that personally. Oftentimes the way we act has more to do with ourselves and what's going on in our life, and just be proud of yourself for trying. And if someone is receptive to it and they love it, then you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Be the type of person who invites others in. If you see someone who is sitting alone, like invite them to come sit at your table. Or like, I even think I'm like, if I have a stick of gum, like, hey girl, you want a stick of gum? Or like, when I went to the movie event, it was like, oh my gosh, do you want some of my pizza? Like, how can you share? How can you invite someone in? How can you bring that warmth and like make someone feel loved just by like being a little bit more open, or like, I don't know, that's just extending a little piece of yourself. And I don't ever think, it's usually not something that majorly inconveniences you. It just takes a little bit of time to think about it. And yeah, be the person who makes others feel included and seen. Understand that friendships come in all different shapes and sizes. Like, what is the saying? It's like a friend for a reason, a friend for a season, a friend for life. That is so true. And I think part of maturing and having these friendships as an adult is just understanding that like you may have a friend who you talk to like multiple times a week and they're your bestie, and you may have another bestie that you talk to twice a year. Like, your friendships and your relationships, as you may live in different places, have different jobs, have different seasons you're each going through, they don't all look the same. And so just like try to keep that in mind. So you may have a friend and y'all aren't talking as much, but that doesn't mean you're not friends still. It just means you're going through different seasons. And I also think it's important just to know this with like almost, I guess, managing your expectations. Like, my acquaintance type friends who I will do certain things with, I don't necessarily have the same expectations of like my dear friends who like know my secrets and we walk through like trials together. Like, I expect different things, and that's okay. I think that's just normal. All this to say, be proud of yourself for trying. It is not easy to put yourself out there. Like, this entire video, I'm like, here's a way to put yourself out there. Be a little brave, do this thing. And you should know, this is not something I just did overnight. Honestly, for the first 3 to 6 months after I graduated college, I was like, I don't want to make friends, I have friends. But then obviously we're in different places, different things, and like I needed to try and to put myself out there. And so that's not something I just like immediately dove in for. For some people I know they can, but if you're watching this video, you're probably a little bit like me, trying to figure it out in the best way that you can. And so yeah, be proud of yourself for trying. You're putting in your effort, and like there are going to be friends for you. If you've been connecting with people and maybe you haven't been hitting it off, like that's okay. I actually try to think of it when things like that happen. Sometimes I think like maybe that's not my person, maybe the timing's not right, or maybe it's just like not right now, and that's okay. I like to think when sometimes I connect with people but things don't completely line up, like then we can't ever get our schedules to match, or just things aren't quite right. I just think to myself like there's going to be more opportunities, more friendships, more relationships. Like, it's all okay. If you can approach life in general with that half glass full attitude of like, there's going to be more times to meet people, more times to have fun, more friends to make, more lived life to experience, like that has served me so much more and been so much better for me. Just going with that kind of attitude of openness I mentioned, I think that's really going to serve you a lot better than the kind of closed off, afraid feeling that I think it's so easy to fall victim to. So I hope that some of these tips you found helpful. Good luck in making friends. If you know me in real life or you want to be friends, let me know, hit me up. I hope you're doing well. If you enjoyed this, please let me know by leaving a thumbs up or a comment. And if you want to see more videos, I've been posting every week, so feel free to subscribe. Anyways, y'all, I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!